Up, guys? Ian over here at Around the Ball. Today we're going to be talking about the Washington Commanders. I think they're one of the more interesting teams coming into this offseason, this upcoming season. I don't think the expectations are extremely high for this team. However, I think they could be a sneaky team to potentially make some noise, not just in the regular season, but potentially maybe make a playoff appearance. I'll kind of show you what I mean. So first things first, when we look at their schedule, um, it's fairly a winnable schedule. With a lot of fringe teams in the NFC East, I think the Cowboys are always going to be good. Um, Same with the Eagles, but I think there's a lot of coaching in the NFC East specifically that are on the hot seat, sort of. Brian DeBoer, obviously a very let down year last year for the Giants. They faced some injuries. He walked into a situation where he took him to the playoffs, and then they all regressed the last year. So I could see him potentially being on the hot seat. Nick Sirianni for the Eagles, again, that is a Super Bowl or bust team in my opinion, especially with the addition of Saquon. And you could add that to the Giants as well, losing their best offensive player, which I'll do a video on them. I don't necessarily think that was a bad decision for them, but I'll do a video on the Giants later on. And then the Cowboys, where Mike McCarthy, in my opinion, if he does not win a playoff game, they should look elsewhere. I know they're one of the hottest teams, and honestly, they've won 12 games in like 3 years or something like that. Like, insane the amount of production they do in the regular season. But you got to win playoff games. Washington, let's start off by saying I think they made the best hire they could have possibly made in Dan Quinn. He's a Super Bowl. He's appeared in a Super Bowl. That defense in Dallas was insane. I don't think they have those kind of pieces on the Washington Commanders. They have sort of lost a lot of their pieces, obviously, last year due to rebuilding, which that is the only thing I think that's kind of holding them back. I think Dan Quinn is an awesome coach. He'll have that defense playing as good as it possibly can. But they are in a rebuild with a rookie quarterback, and that's another thing how he plays. But let's look at their schedule real quick. Again, this is a very friendly schedule for a rebuilding team. They start off week one against the Buccaneers. Decent team. You know, they've been to the playoffs, last year and the year before with Baker, obviously. They went last year with Baker Mayfield. They're a middle of the pack team to me. They're not a top 10 team. They're not a bottom 20 team. They're just a middle of the pack team. That's a perfect opponent to judge where you are as a commander. Whether, oh, we got a lot of work to do, or, hey, you know what? We can actually maybe win some games. Playing the Giants, week two. Again, they should be more solid. They have a lot of weapons that's going to really test that secondary, but Dan Quinn's a good defensive minded coach. I think they can play the Giants well. Then they play the Bengals. This is going to be a tough game. It's in Cincinnati. That's a tough game, but that's where, you had 2 games under your belt to kind of get it together a little bit. Who knows? Then they play the Cardinals. That's a solid game. I mean, to me, those teams are both at the same level right now. Then they play the Browns. Do we get Deshaun Watson that, you know, gave him that contract, or do we get the one we've seen lately? Again, that's a very friendly 5 games for a team that's rebuilding. They're not going out and playing, their toughest opponents. They're not playing the Chiefs. They're not playing the Lions. They're not playing the 49ers. Like, this is a very good opening schedule. Then they play the Ravens. This is where it gets interesting because now you're six. This is the 6th game of the season. Do you get blown out? Do you play them tough? How's this? And like I said, Dan Quinn is a good coach, and Cliff Kingsbury, a good offensive coordinator. I know he wasn't the best head coach, but he's a good offensive coordinator. Then they play the Panthers. Again, you have potential to be a 4-3 team right now in a rebuilding year. That's honestly not bad. Then they play the Bears. Again, number 1 pick against the number 2 pick. Bears are going to be a tough team, but a winnable game. It's a rookie quarterback you're going up against. Dan Quinn should be able to expose that a little bit. And then play the Giants again. Again, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 games, and one of them is like David versus Goliath against the Ravens. Then they play the Steelers. Solid, really good defense. We'll see what their offense looks like. So that's a question mark right now. But I think that's a good game to test where you're at. Then they play the Eagles, tough game, and then the Cowboys. Division game's always tough. In Philly and then in Washington playing, or in DC playing the Cowboys. Then they play the Titans and the Saints. Again, not a very tough schedule. This is probably one of the weaker schedules you'll see out of a team. The only reason it's somewhat tough is because of their division. You know, they're playing 2 teams that were in the playoffs twice a year, so that's 4 games. Then they play the Falcons, or Eagles, then Falcons, then Cowboys to end the season. Again, this is you could win 7, 8, 9 games. And in the NFC, that might be enough to make the playoff. 9 games would maybe make you a playoff win. Maybe get you in the playoffs. Maybe. I wouldn't say that for the AFC, considering how stacked the AFC is. But NFC, I could see 9 games getting that final wildcard spot. Do I think they win the division? Absolutely not. I don't think the Dallas Cowboys are going to let that happen, and I don't think the Eagles are going to let that happen. But you could see where in November they're playing meaningful football games still, and that's great for a rookie quarterback. So now that we got the schedule out of the way, very fair. You know, it's a very solid schedule for a rebuilding team. It's tough, but it's not impossible. You're going to be able to keep that locker room under control from a winning standpoint because you'll win enough games. All right, now let's look at the schedule. They are in a rebuild, so they have holes, in my opinion. But wide receivers, they have solid wide receivers. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, you know, them are some solid receivers. And then you've got solid third, fourth options in Olamide Zaccheaus, Jamison Crowder, Damiere Byrd. These are all guys with starting experience that are going to be really good 4-year rookie quarterback. As a Jags fan, I watched Marvin Jones be a solid piece for Trevor Lawrence's entire first 3 years. Very solid piece, a reliable piece for Trevor. You need guys like that. I don't know if Jamison Crowder is that level, but regardless, solid level. And then their rookie, Luke McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's brother. Let's see. Tight end, Zach Ertz, solid. And Armani Rogers is going to be a solid tight end for them as well. Um, I've I followed him slightly in college, slightly, not anything crazy, but he looked like a good prospect coming out of the draft. Don't know much about their offensive line. Not even going to front there, and I know their defense needs work because they lost half their defensive line. But running backs, they went and got a great pass catching running back in Austin Eckler, and Brian Robinson Jr. is a solid running back. I don't think he's top 10, top 15, top 20. I don't think he's that high, or else I wouldn't have got Austin Eckler. But they have a solid 1-2 punch there. They have 2 guys that do completely different things, and that's important for a rookie quarterback. Quarterback room, Jaden Daniels obviously should get all the starts. You've got a vet behind him and Jeff Driscoll and Marcus Mariota. So that's going to be solid to have. Curious what they do with Sam Hartman. I know they drafted him. Maybe they decide to go away from either Jeff Driscoll. Oh, geez, that's so hard to say. Or Marcus Mariota. Very young linebacker core, but they also picked up Bobby Wagner. So they have solid enough pieces to be competitive. No really crazy defensive pieces. Dante Fowler, you know, But again, Dan Quinn will make the most of that. I think they have the potential to easily win 8 games. They will. They should be able to double what they had last year because they had 4 wins last year. I think 1, 2, 3, 5. Wait, they won a lot last year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Why am I looking at 2023? I mean 2022. I didn't think they won that many. That was 2022. Sorry. 1 win, 2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins. Yeah, 4 wins last year. A lot easier of a schedule this year, though. I mean, last year they played Rams, 49ers, Dolphins, Seahawks, Eagles. I mean, they'll play them again, but yeah, it's a very solid schedule for them. That's who I think is a sleeper to get one of the wild card spots for the NFC. And yeah, let me know what you think. I think it's very doable. I think it's very doable for them. Would love to see them come out year one under a new regime, new everything, new front office, new coach, new staff, new quarterback, new players. I mean, because they got rid of Sweat and Chase and all them. So curious to see how that looks. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.